Hello everybody, today we'll be taking a look at the most feared Sith Lord in all of Star Wars, the most iconic villain that a lot of people will know, Darth Vader. Now this is the buildable figure form from LEGO's Star Wars Buildable Figures series, and this one is one of the first wave ones and is actually one of the two versions of Vader that LEGO's made. There are actually two versions of the buildable Darth Vader. This is the one I'm doing here is the first one, the OG one, and I will not do the second edition, the one that came later. I won't be doing that. I'm not going to cover that. I'm just going to be doing this one. But you can see, it's got some heavy influence from Hero Factory, because after all this is using the exact same building system as Hero Factory, the character creature building system. It's short for CCBS. And yeah, so first things first, let's take a look at the box. So this is one of the bigger sets, and so therefore the box is slightly bigger, and this is set 75111, 160 pieces. Here is the back of the box. Not much to see there, is there? Alright, so this guy is 28.5 centimeters tall, so that makes him 11.2 inches. So a pretty decently tall guy. I mean, Vader is actually a pretty tall character as a whole. So first thing you'll notice is how bulky he is. He's very heavily armored, and you don't really see that because most of it is usually covered by his giant cape, but for this one they fleshed it out very well, and the entire cape itself is just one big long piece at the back. I'm not a big fan of how the cape is actually attached. I feel like this often leads to like little folds like this, and that's not really cool. I think it needs to find a way so it can maintain the overall shape to cover him very well, but it's not really doing that very well. So I'm not particularly a big fan of it, because look, you can already see the cape is starting to fold up back here, and that's already starting to bother me. I think a better way is to have the cape overlap, you know, what they did with Kylo Ren and Kenobi, but I don't know, it's just a little flaw I've seen here. And the thing is, this is a very heavy figure. It's actually very heavy to the point where you don't actually see a normal torso. In fact, they use a special smaller torso, specially designed for these figures, and yeah, so it makes them relatively heavy, and that's why this figure runs on two sets of friction adders to really keep him up and to help him with posability. And the whole body is very well covered. You can see from all sides it's very like chunky, and it's very well covered, and I think yeah, they really make sure you don't see any bare bones, and that's exactly why I appreciate these Star Wars buildable figures. It's the fact that they're doing their best to make sure none of these are exposed bits. Now the legs, very straightforward legs, really not that much to see. It's very straightforward build. It's built like this, and yeah, it's not much to see. That's all I'm gonna say. And I like how oh, I'm missing a Palantir piece there, but but yeah, it's well covered, that's for sure. And then the main body, you can see the main body is well armored. There's armor on the sides as well, and it's very well covered. It's got this one system piece here to mimic his suit controls. Chest piece is special molded, and the shoulders are very nicely covered. You got two layers of armor for the shoulder cover, so that's very nice the way they use that to cover up the figure. But I would feel like it would be a lot better if they had the cape over, like, flow all this instead of having it fold the back, because that keeps bothering me a lot. And then of course you've got his lightsaber. Here's his red Sith lightsaber, just a very simple piece, and yeah. Again, we will later get more of these lightsaber blades with more future figures. Alright, and then the final thing, we've got the head. The new Vader, you can actually remove his helmet and you'll see his face underneath. I personally think this helmet is more better. just the way it looks, and the quality of the mold is a lot higher, and so it looks really realistic to the actual Vader and the character that we all know and love. So these Star Wars molds, I said, like any figures that are been covered with a helmet or a mask, they look great, but human faces, not so much. So yeah, so not bad at all. And then when you put him here overall as a whole figure, he does stand out like a tall, menacing Vader, and definitely reminds me of the scene from Rogue One. However, I would probably say, yeah, the main problem I am seeing here is that the fact that the cape is just keeps folding back, and the placement of the cape is not well executed. I think the cape should have just overflowed, overlapped the entire body, and that it should just be covered just like the character in the movies. So in the end, what do I think of Vader? And I'd say I can see why they later remade a new version of Vader, but this is okay. It's tolerable. It's a pretty decent Vader figure. The only thing I don't like about him is the cape placement. But apart from that, they've done a pretty good job on this guy, and I think it's one figure that I recommend you to go pick up. So I'm gonna give him a 6 out of 10. Not a very high review, but it's just no coverage. Cape placement is terrible, and it gets a little too heavy. So I think they need a little more friction adders just to hold them up. But yeah, so I think that's a pretty fair review, and that's all I gotta say for Vader. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give the video a like or dislike, and anything helps. Hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I definitely had fun putting Vader together for you guys to see. So we'll talk to you again in the next one. Peace out.